Hey everybody, this is some guy named Rob, and I am the other half of On Your Marks Wrestling, along with Lee Jansen. For those of you who haven't seen Lee's introductory video, you can catch a link below in the description of the video. I'll have a link because for some reason I can't get the annotations to work properly. I hope you do watch it. I hope you enjoy it. I actually did watch it myself, and in a way, I feel like maybe I shouldn't have watched it before recording this particular video, because now not only do I feel like I have a standard to live up to, in fact, I wasn't really originally planning on appearing on camera until my office space had been kind of redone. So, you know, thanks for it up for the rest of us, Lee, but no, in all seriousness, I think Lee did a really good job of introducing himself and his history as a fan, or where his fandom sort of came from. But in a way, it kind of puts a little bit of pressure on me to do something a little bit different, but not too different. Because I don't want to rehash a lot of the things that Lee had said, because many of the same programs that he watched growing up were some of the same programs that I watched growing up. The only real difference was I would have started probably a few years earlier than he did, whereas Lee was sort of the later part of the 1980s. I was in the earlier part of the 1980s, just because of our differences in age. So otherwise, very, very similar backgrounds. Lots of WWF Superstars of Wrestling, Saturday night's main event, watching old school Crockett, NWA era, beginning of WCW with Dusty Rhodes and the Four Horsemen and Ric Flair and all that other wonderful goodness. And then morphing into WCW, and then going, of course, into the Monday Night Wars and what have you. So I'm not really going to retread all of that. I'm not going to talk a whole lot about myself, but I will talk a lot about the channel, what it is that we'd like to accomplish with this channel, and I will share a little bit about myself. I will share a personal story about a time in professional wrestling that really stuck with me. Now, of course, when a new wrestling channel comes on the scene, or any new channel comes on the scene that offers commentary or critique, there's two questions that are going to come up right away that need to be addressed. One, who the hell are you? And two, why the hell should I listen to anything that you have to say? These are valid questions, and I want to answer them in sort of a roundabout way. And I'll start by answering questions about why the channel is here in the first place. Lee pretty much hit the nail on the head when he said that we're doing this for purely selfish reasons. We are not industry insiders. We are not here to create clickbait titles and clickbait videos that are here to rake in all that sick ad, YouTube ad revenue. That's not what we do. That's not who we are. In fact, I'm probably going to try and keep this channel as ad-free as humanly possible. I know it's not always the easiest, and if I put up an image that's copyrighted, there is a chance that it's going to be claimed and ads will be put on the videos. If there are, I'm going to do everything that I can to maybe re-upload a new version of the video that alters the image in a way that doesn't get that copyright claim. Sometimes it's unavoidable. But we're going to try and keep this ad-free and just a place for Lee and I to be fans. Because first and foremost, that's really what we are. We're not here to try and pretend that we're smarter than everybody else. We're not here to pretend that we know what is best for business. We're not here to try and apply for jobs as creative writers for either the WWE or any major or even minor wrestling promotion around the world. We're just here to take a look at the product that's there, what it's doing, how maybe we agree or disagree with how it's being presented, and if we have an idea that we think would be much, much more interesting from a fan's perspective, we'll probably put it forward. And matter of fact, I know in my case, I definitely will, because like most people with a YouTube channel, I'm an opinionated asshole on the internet. So, yeah, so expect those types of things. We're also going to do, show reviews, because that's really kind of part and parcel of deconstructing everything and trying to figure out what it is that we like and dislike, and could we do something better? Would we have tried something different? Would we have liked to have seen something different? and so on and so forth. We're also going to do things like recap shows and how we reacted to things. I think I just said that, actually. It's early in the morning. I've only had one coffee, so you'll have to bear with me. And also, like I said, I wasn't expecting to be on camera, and usually I have a script to follow. I don't have a script for any of this. You could probably tell that already. Now, another thing that we're going to do is prediction shows. Prediction shows because sometimes booking gets into a rut. Sometimes booking gets predictable. Oftentimes booking gets predictable. Yeah, oftentimes booking can get very, very predictable. Companies can settle into patterns, especially when you're a company like WWE that doesn't really have any credible threat to its position as the #1 worldwide purveyor, I don't know if that's the right word, but purveyor of professional wrestling or sports entertainment that's going around. But yeah, it's the WWE doesn't have anybody to really challenge it, to push it as hard as it can go, to put out the best product possible. And when you don't have that type of competition, yeah, it's easy to just kind of throw it on autopilot for a few months, put things together that you knew worked in the past or were, seemed like they worked in the past, that seemed to sell tickets to arenas in the past, and just kind of let it coast. Well, I think as fans, we need to hold companies accountable for the product that they put out. I'm not doing a big consumer advocacy thing, don't worry, I'm not going to go off on one of those tangents, but I think it's really good that fans take a critical look at what they're buying, what they're viewing, and hey, maybe we have some suggestions that would be really cool to implement and that would bring new fans who would fill even more seats and buy more pay-per-views and sell more merchandise, and maybe trickle it a little bit closer to that mainstream entertainment venue that the WWE has been trying to hit since the Attitude Era. So we'll see. I don't think we're going to change the world. We're not out here to change the world. We just want to have something that is cool. We just want a product that we can look at and go, I was entertained by that. I got my value's worth. I got my, those 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 hours of my life that I spent watching this product or paying for this product was worth my time. It was worth my money. It was worth my effort. And that's what this is really all about. Okay, so earlier in the video, I promised to say something a little bit about myself and my own personal history and what I would like to do instead of going into a biography of who I am, where I'm from, because that'll all come out in future videos. Over the course of time, you'll get to know us, the differences in taste between Lee and I. And by the way, shout out to Lee for the understatement of the decade when he said I'm maybe just a little bit more cynical than he is. If you want to talk about putting someone over in a really good way, kudos to you, Lee, because wow. Is there anti-hyperbole? There needs to be a really cool word, like unhyperbolic, anti-hyperbolic. That's about as far from hyperbolic as you can get. And I have to congratulate Lee on his subtlety with that one. But I do want to recount one of my personal favorite wrestling moments. One of those moments that really helped to shape my tastes in professional wrestling, but was also one of those where you just knew that no matter how bad, mediocre the product would get, and it would hit those lows. Some say it's still there, but that's for an entirely different video. But one of those moments that just made you kind of sit back and go, yeah, this is why I watch. This is what draws me in. This is what keeps me coming back week after week. And it happened to be a spot on WCW Saturday Night from October of 1991. Now, those of you who are the real history geeks and historians out there probably already know what I'm going to say. And kudos to you for knowing this, but this isn't a trivia thing. I'm not quizzing anyone out there. It was an episode of WCW Saturday Night, and it was sort of a ringside ringside, I hesitate to call it an interview, but I think that's what it was meant to be, was an interview segment, and it was Cactus Jack, as who most of us know these days as the lovable Mick Foley, along with Abdullah the Butcher and a cake, singing Happy Birthday to Sting in sort of a very demented, acid-fueled version of the Marilyn Monroe Happy Birthday, Mr. President. It was Cactus Jack singing Happy Birthday to Sting and punctuating with his bang bang at the end of every line. And the reason why I found this to be such a cool moment was Cactus Jack was unquestionably a heel. He was meant to be a major heel. He was meant to be a deranged, psychotic, ruthless, bloodthirsty heel. Abdullah the Butcher, I mean, anyone who's watched one of his matches knows that you don't eat before watching one of his matches because they're pretty gruesome. They're always going to involve blood and forks for some reason. The instinct when you have a heel interview and they're being heelish is for the crowd to boo them. And that's their job. That's what you do as a heel. You get booed. You get that reaction. You draw that out of the crowd. This was completely different. This was an eerie, stunned silence that just kind of fell over the crowd. And what was really, really cool about it was just how Mick Foley as Cactus Jack doing this kind of bizarro world happy birthday sing-along just had the whole crowd in the palm of his hand, and he was just holding on to them. And everybody was just staring on in this awed silence, and it was just absolutely perfect. And the whole segment, by the time it was done, you just felt like you needed to have a shower. I recently went back and watched footage of that moment, and it still kind of gave me the goosebumps all these years later. 1991, we're talking, what, about over a quarter of a century ago that this happened, and you can still look back on that. You could run that today. You could have a guy like Bray Wyatt, well, maybe not Bray Wyatt now, because he's a little more over than that. But maybe when Bray Wyatt first started coming out with the Wyatt family, you could have had him do that spot exactly, like beat for beat, and it would have played perfectly. It would have fit in perfectly in with that character that many number of years later. And that's what I thought was really, really cool about it. And it was just one of those moments back in, the earlier formative years of my fandom that just made me kind of sit back and go, I can't wait to see where they go with this. This is going to be awesome. Anyway, that's just sort of one of the really cool wrestling moments that have kind of helped to shape me and to give me the tastes that I have and the views that I have on professional wrestling and, sports entertainment or whatever it is that you want to call it. And that's pretty much it. I'm going to cut it here so I don't make this too terribly long, because if I go into cool wrestling moments that help, shape my understanding and my tastes and everything, we could be here for decades. And it's not like I'm not already known for making a short story long, so I'll cut it here. And we can't wait to see you guys in the next video. Take it easy.